just be, relax, relate, it's such a soul free. Strong black woman, put that kick down. You're not superwoman, put on your crown. It's okay to cry, go ahead and breathe. Redefine the strength.
Hey, girl. Hey, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Strong Black Woman Support Group podcast. I am your host, Regina Renaye. I'm also the founder of Mindful and Melanated, the online space for everything mental health and wellness for Black women. And of course, we are in the presence of the illustrious Dr. Akua, who is our
doctor in residence.
That's right.
Some chimes or something. Ding, ding, ding. Doctor in residence.
So thank you all so much for joining us today. So today we're going to talk about what it looks like to support your friends, right? So we know that we're supposed to check on our strong friend, right? We know that in order for Black women to survive and thrive, we have to support each other. But sometimes we don't know how to do that. Sometimes we don't know how to show up for each other. Sometimes we don't know how to articulate how we want folks to show up for ourselves. And, you know, flaws and all, you know, there is a guide, or there are some guides for, you know, romantic relationships, like the love languages, right? You know, you have the 5 love languages, and that's sometimes helpful for folks as a guide on how to show their romantic partner that they love and support them. But what are the languages for supporting your friends, right? So, or your circle? What are your support languages for the Black woman in your life? And so that is what we are going to talk about today. And the reason why Dr. Akua and I are talking about this today is because we actually recently had an interaction in which we had to kind of like better explain or better learn each other's like ways in which we want to feel supported. So that's kind of like what we're talking about today. So yeah. So what do you think about the concept of support languages for Black women as a collective?
Yeah, I'm gonna be real. Like I love how this came about, how the conversation we had kind of highlighted for both of us. And in that conversation, we were like, this is something to talk about, because we discovered or realized that in relationships with other Black women, there's a need that goes in both directions. If I'm your friend, I need to show my friendship to you. I want and need to show up for you. I want to support you, whatever ways that looks, you know, show concern and compassion and all of those things. And I also need those return. And so I love this concept of taking our knowledge of the love languages, and, you know, to the point that you made, it's a little problematic for me, only because I think, you know, we go and we read stuff online and we're like, boom, got it. I know everything about it now. And then we go about trying to tell everybody about, well, this is my love language and da, da, da. And it's like, okay, there's more, like, get into it a little bit more, discover it more for yourself before you start demanding other people give it to you. And so in this topic, how do you in your friendships, you know, whether it's friendships with DNA people or friendships with chosen people, you know, friends and family, how do we communicate? That's so powerful, especially now. Okay? Because everything that's going on in this world, it can almost feel like, you know, we're targeted, or we're, you know, people are pinpointing us or focusing on us. We got to take care of ourselves. And one of the ways that we do that is within community. Like historically, that's how we've done it. We've taken care of ourselves within community with other women, other friend groups, you know, like-minded people. But how? How do we do that? How do I check in and be like, you good? Hey, sis. You good? You know, and how do I want you to check in with me?
Right, exactly, because it's like, and we kind of touched when I say we, I mean Dr. Akua and I kind of touched upon this the other day when we were talking. And I said that this is why we have to understand ourselves and really understand what we want as individuals, right? Because if we don't fully understand what we want as individuals, we're not going to be able to communicate how we want support from, other parties. So, and that's all about living authentically, right? So I can give you a simple silly example, right? I'm an introvert, so I don't need to be in constant like communication with folks. Like I don't need to be outside all the time with folks. And I literally do not, I can like not talk to someone for a whole month and not feel some type of way about it. Like I'll have a friend, they'll text me off the blue. They'll be like, hey, how's it going? I'm sorry. I've been so busy. I haven't checked in on you. And I'm like, I didn't even notice. You haven't checked in on me. But the other person
not checking in on me, I'd have been fine.
Right. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like they're over there feeling guilty because they wasn't checking in on me. And I'm over here like, I didn't need to be checked in on. So it's like, there is like a disconnect when it comes to like how we support each other, because like you see on social media all the time, check on your strong friend, check on your quiet friend, check on the funny friend. I'm the strong friend, I'm the quiet friend, I'm the funny friend. So a lot of people feel like they always got to constantly like do like, hey, happy Monday. Like I don't need the weekly happy Mondays from you. Like that's not how and honestly, and like I was telling Dr. Cool the other day, honestly, that annoys the fuck out of me. Because now it's like, I know my energy level when it comes to social interactions. Even a text message can drain me. I'm not saying one single text message, but like if 10 separate people are sending me a hey girl, hey, that's 10 people I have to respond to. So, you know what I mean? Am I making sense?
No, you are. And see, so that was some of the things that came up in our conversation. So, the first, I guess, if we were to do this in like practical steps as we talk, the first thing is understanding yourself. So all of this stuff that you're saying is key, because the next part is communicating that out. But first, I got to know me. And that is an ongoing process. Like we got to let ourselves off the hook of like knowing ourselves completely, because you never will. There's always something that is developing and there is something that is like ending. We are growing. It's almost like, what is that? The snake. When they shed their skin, it's the same snake, but it's getting too big for the skin that it's in. So it sheds it and it leaves it behind. We're always in a similar type of process. So we get to be the teacher and the student of self. We get to learn ourselves. And when we get to that point where we're recognizing like, oh, these text messages, like at first when they come, you probably was like, oh, that's so sweet. And you put it down, you respond and move on about your day. The second time you're like, this girl, oh, okay, hi, growing up, I'm good. By the fourth and fifth time, you're like, this motherfucker. If you don't, oh my God, that's, I love how you're like, that's my story. But that's that thing that we learn about ourselves. And when we learn it, I think there might be opportunity in there to maybe discover, if there's anything specific, like, is it just this person? Like you said, it's any of them. So is it just this person? Is it just these people? Is it the way they worded it? Is it the fact that she sent it every day at 4 a.m? Or is it just, I don't like these at all? As you learn those things about yourself, then you get to communicate that and share that, because you're right. Check on your strong friend. Then people, they come from a place of love and they want to check on their strong friend, but strong friend don't want to be checked on. But you can't assume that. So we get to communicate that. Like,
right.
Hey, thank you so much for these texts. I really love them. But you know what? You don't have to send them. Sometimes they're kind of overwhelming or whatever. You know what I mean? Communicating that to folks and also communicating in reverse. Hey, you don't never check in on me. Can we start doing that, please? Can we just, that kind of thing.
Right. And be open to having the conversation and being open to receiving it, because I know for me, like I was telling Dr. Akua the other day, I said, I know for me, I'm noticing that a lot of, I guess tension, for or lack of better words, that I'm experiencing amongst just different types of people that I interact with, whether it's friends, family, co-workers, now that I am like unmasking, like for real. And so people have been feeling some type of way. Like I don't think I'm not the one to make the judgment call. It's the person receiving the communication that makes the judgment call. But I don't think I'm being rude when I talk to people, when I'm just being like I could be talking just like this, but I'm not like, hi, bubbly, like how I normally am. So when I was masking, so now it's like people are feeling some type of way, one, or like worried, like, are you okay? And I'm like, no, I'm really fine. I'm just not masking, right?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, so I think this y'all, we got deep in the conversation because, and I have to say, as a pen, I appreciated being able to have the conversation because these type of circumstances have come up before in different, relational situations, and they didn't all happen like this. It was very communicative. It was very much two people who are self-aware, having a conversation and sharing that. That is not always how it's been. Some folks get to making accusations and, well, fine, I just ain't gonna never check in on you, never again no more, and then fuck you in. Like, it's like, wait.
Still fuck it in.
I was kind of channeling Tisha Campbell's character in Boomerang, when she was like, leap off the air.
And fuck you.
I was kind of trying to channel some of that. But no, like, the reality is, no matter how we come across, we do need to be mindful of that. Sometimes, whether, to the point that you're making about masking, sometimes we may think that we're positioning like this and just talking like normal, but there may be some sort of vibe. There may be some sort of tonal change. Like, this is my typical like tone of voice. But if I drop down like this, you know what I'm saying? I've actually realized recently that if I'm in this tone of voice, something might be wrong. I might be tired, or it might be wrong. But typically, this is me, right? So what's really interesting about that, if I was to, when I talk to my kids when they were younger, I might be like, you guys, go clean up your room. Because of that volume change, they were like, why are you yelling? Because this is my typical. So either way, there is an opportunity to understand, as we are being the teacher and the student of self, to kind of understand what is it that my loved ones, because we're going to assume, hopefully for this conversation, that the people who we're talking about that are checking in with us are our loved ones, people with good intent, people that have no ulterior motives, people that's not trying to like butter us up for something, like they come in and they're genuine, right? So if they're coming with good intent, it's something that they're sensing or seeing that is different. But just because they're seeing that, it doesn't mean that we want anything different. So that's where we still get that opportunity to communicate. I might be coming across in my tone down here, and somebody check in on me. I can still say, I'm good. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? So do you see where I'm trying to say? Like, that kind of nuance and understanding two things can be true at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it's like all the memes and gifs or GIF. I think it's GIF.
Girl,
I don't know. We both two elderly aunties. We don't know. We going to use GIF.
Because I'm going to say, every time I say whatever one I say, my daughter be like, get your little millennial tail somewhere and say that.
Right. The moving pictures that be like, oh, check on your strong friend, this and that. And it's like, I love the fact that mental health awareness is like super like, and I don't want to say trendy, but like, I feel like we're hyper like aware when it comes to like mental health and wellness and stuff like that. And I love that. I love that. But I think a lot of the times when we see like the check on your strong friend memes, it's a nice reminder, right?
Yeah.
But I often sometimes, and this is just my personal perception, I often feel like sometimes when folks do the hey girl, hey check-in, random check-in, it's out of obligation. Not because they genuinely want to check in. And when I say they don't want to genuinely check in, I'm not saying they don't care about me, but it's like they're adding me as like a things to do. And you know what really grinds my gears is when people and I know they mean so well, and this is why we're having this conversation, because just like we tell white folks black women ain't a monolith, we gotta tell each other we ain't a monolith. Okay, we gotta remind each other like we're not a monolith. But you know what really grinds my gears is when someone calls me, hey, and I'd be like, hey, what's going on? Oh, I haven't talked to you in a minute. You know, I'm doing this little 30-minute drive. I thought I should give you a call real quick and check in while I'm driving. Bitch, you was not going to use me to multitask. I'll talk to you later. When you want to talk to me, that's when you talk to me.
Okay. Wait. Hold on. Because
I know we should have a whole argument, but like I cannot stand that.
So here's the thing. If I can offer a reflection.
Go ahead.
I love the look on your face. So you can reflect all you want to. So one thing I will say, number one, completely hearing you. You are correct that we are not a monolith. And that means we are different. That's basically when you hear people say that, what we're saying is we are different. We may look similar. We may derive from similar places, but we are different. We are as unique as the day is long. I don't know. So I think I'm trying to figure out how to say this. We have a right to desire what we desire and to expect what we expect and to express what we need. And we have the right to receive that. I be called like me and like certain people in my friend group. That's what we do. If we're on the road, because when I'm at home, everything is happening. It is all thinking. Everything is thinking. So when I'm on the road, I'm like, now's a perfect time for me to catch up with so-and-so, because I'm going to be in this car for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 2 hours, whatever the case may be. So now's a perfect time. And yes, sometimes people do kind of use that because they don't want to drive in silence. And so they want to have conversations with people. So might there be opportunity in those spaces to do two things? Because again, two things can be true at once. Offer and extend grace and like, you know, towards that person, like, okay, I'm glad you were thinking about me. And this isn't the kind of checking in that works for me. So to the thing that you were saying, what are some things that we could all think about if folks have similar check-in desires that you have? You don't want, you know, obligatory or routine check-ins. It sounds to me like you want something more meaningful. How can we be meaningful and intentional and authentic in check-ins from your perspective? Like, what would that look like?
I mean, I feel like it would look like you doing it because you actually want to do it. Like you feel sorry, my mouse moved and I lost visual for a second.
Oh, okay.
I think when, and I'm speaking for myself. That's why I paused. I hesitated because I want to make sure I'm clear that I'm speaking for myself. That 9 times out of 10, I could feel the energy behind your intent, right? So if your intent is to genuinely check in, like you feel compelled, like, oh my God, I haven't spoken to Regina Renaye in a long time. Let me give her a call. I have 30 minutes because I'm on this road. Let me go ahead and really call her, right? And see how she's doing. But if you call me and be like, oh, I'm doing this drive and I figure, you know, I got all this time. Let me call. It sounds like you're multitasking to me. Like it sounds like when you say it like that, it may not.
So what would you want that to be instead? Like, is it just about if somebody calls?
Don't even say that. Like, why would you have to? Like, just don't say that.
Okay.
How could that be? Might as well, because like you said, sometimes people need like to talk while they're driving, or they need music, or they need something. Like, I don't want to be. It sounds like you're using me as a filler. It sounds like you're using me as your Spotify playlist.
Okay. Damn.
So just
That's
don't
my
even say it.
Spotify playlist, though, friend. I mean,
That's how
good.
it feels.
Shots fired. You got to block them.
That's literally how it feels to me. Like,
No,
that's the only reason why you calling me is because you have this long ass drive and you don't your Spotify playlist is tripping. Like,
that's good stuff. So then
that's how it's received. That's not maybe how you say it. Not you, Akua, but
no. I know what you mean.
That maybe not how that person is saying it. Because like intent and impact is two different things, right?
Yes.
That's DEI 101. Like intent and impact is two different things. So you may like intent. I probably just contradicted myself, but like when I said the whole intent thing. But like whatever. Listen, that's why you got the PhD, because you gonna clean this up for me. Nah. Anyway, that's why we have a doctor of residence, y'all. So she could decipher what I'm trying to say and translate for the peoples. What was I gonna say? Yeah, so it's like it does not feel good to me. It just doesn't feel good.
I think what you're identifying is really significant, and it has opportunities for both people. So on the one hand, the person who's being comforted or being checked in on, rather, I'll say that the person who's being checked in on has the opportunity to be aware with those feelings. One of the things that Mama Van Zant says is that the only relationship that we're having is the one that we have with ourselves. So if I'm having a conversation with you and all of a sudden I get triggered, I need to discover what is that in me that created that reaction, that result, that feeling, why am I responding this way? Why do I feel this way? So that I can, address or deal with whatever that is within me. And because we are in relationship with others, I take it a step further and say, how do I then share what the other person needs to know? Because let's pretend I am the person who calls you on my 30-minute drive. And in my mind, let's say I don't see anything wrong with saying, oh, shoot, well, I got the time. Let me just call. You telling me that as if I am truly someone who's supposed to be in relationship with you, when you say, you know what, Akua, when you call me and you tell me that you just calling me because you're on the road, you make me feel like I'm just a Spotify playlist. Like, I don't mind being checked in on every once in a while, but when you do it like this, it feel a little fake. It feel a little like I'm just a thing to do, and I don't want to feel that way. If I am really, because now it's my turn. If I'm really like caring about now it's my turn to do some reflection. If you tell me that and I'll be like, these strong feelings, well, shoot, forget her then, because I ain't gonna check. I need to now discover, okay, why am I having that reaction?
Why am I reacting that way?
Right.
So So I think it goes back to what you said in the beginning, where like, if we're going to break this down step by step, is really knowing yourself. Because why does that make me upset? Now that you brought that up, like now while you was talking just now, I literally was thinking like, why does that make me feel upset? Right. And so I think it's because I have experienced periods of my life in which I was more of an option and not a priority to people. I literally just thought about that in real time right now as we're recording this.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it doesn't feel good.
Yeah. And let me say, as you work towards whatever you work towards on that, you still have every right to say, friend, when you call me like this, it makes me feel like blah, blah, blah. You could be in the process of, working through that thing, and you do still get to say, because one of the things that people mistake is just because I now have an awareness of a thing that I'm poof, pow, changed. Like, that's magic. It's gone. I'm done. Like, there's a process. It took something to get me to this place where I react like this. So it's going to take something to get me to a place where I react differently, perhaps. Or maybe I stand 10 toes down and just be like, we got choices with how we want to deal with the things we discover. You still have the right to say to that person, this is how I would, kind of like that in the line of love languages. This is what would really make me feel good when you call to support me, or when you text to support me. This would really make me feel good. And on the person side who's doing the checking in, then you get to make a decision as well. Like, I really love conversations that are balanced, where we recognize that we each have an option. and we have something to do. If my friend telling me she don't like to be checked in on like that causes me to get into an uproar, why? Why am I bent out of shape now? I used to have somebody in my life. Thank you.
That's ready. Let me
get you the tea. Come on now. And I wish I had my teacup. It's way over there. Man, I'm gonna pretend to sip. This is my mindful and melanated cup. I'm sipping from pretend. I would express things like that to this individual, and their response to me was, well, I ain't gonna be walking on eggshells around you. I gotta say something, because when I heard that, I felt some kind of way. I got all bent out of shape because it did not sound like what a friend or a respected relationship would say to someone else. Yeah. So that was my message to run, Forrest, run. Okay, I eventually did, but I didn't do it then. You know, that was my message to run, Forrest, run. But can we be real for a minute? Mm-hmm. They have every right to say that. We hate it when nobody wanted to, like, it ain't the best, but they got every right to hold that position, to stand 10 toes into, I ain't gonna be walking on eggshells around you. If somebody responds like that, run, Forrest, run. Because at the end of the day, what they are communicating to you is that they are not the person that is positioned to support you. They are not a healthy friend. They are going to be toxic. And the toxicity comes because they know that they are hurting you and they refuse to change. So it would be like if you were standing in a room with poisonous fumes around and you were like, well, you know, they can't turn it off. So I guess I still got to stick around
here. Right.
No, friend, you can leave. Mm-hmm. Right. Because I want to say that because we're talking about the support languages for Black women and we're talking about communicating and sharing it. And it is not always daisies and rose petals. Sometimes when we communicate it, we get shut down, and they have every right to do that. And we have a right to leave.
To peace out. Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. I actually just did a talk at a church the other day, and I said that to the women who were sharing space with me. I was like, you know, people are people. People aren't good. People aren't bad. People are people. And if that person doesn't align with you, you have a choice. Like Dr. Akua said, you have a choice. You could remove yourself from that person's sphere. You could remove them from your circle. And that's okay. Everybody's not going to be for you all the time. Just like Akua said, like, you know, you might be shedding that they may be on that skin that you shed it. You know what I mean? That. They may be on that skin that you shed it.
Yeah.
You know? And so if they're not willing and able to support you in the way in which you want, that doesn't mean they're a bad person. In my opinion, it doesn't mean they're just not for you. Right? Just like, you know, you have a couple, a man and a woman who, you know, one wants kids and one doesn't. That doesn't mean the one that doesn't want kids is a bad person. It just means that y'all just not compatible. I know that's a simple, like, watered down example, but yeah, you know,
yeah, I get where you're going with that example. In any interaction, in any relational interaction, each person has a choice.
Right.
Where we can stand and be empowered in the choice that we have is through having the is it comfort that I want? It's to having, I'm going to use the word comfort, but I feel like there's something better. Having the comfort in being the student of self and also sharing what we learn about ourselves. Both parties in the relationship, right? Nothing in me is known automatically by somebody. I don't care how long you've known each other, right? And I mean, this is everybody, your parents, your siblings, your spouse, your boo, best friend. I don't care who it is. No relationship that you have, no matter how long y'all have known each other, they do not automatically know what is inside of you. You know what I like. You know what I prefer. You know how I am. yes, we observe things about you, but we don't know what that means, right? We don't know what your preferences are, what your needs are, what you like and what you don't like until you tell us.
Right.
And you have to be clear when you tell it.
Right.
You can't beat around the bush. I had someone else I used to know. They would hint at things. Ooh, I sure would love. I can't wait till I'm able to take, my kids to that park over there. What I learned later, after the fact, when it was too late, was that was them asking me to take them on like a date out in the park areas. How, friend, am I supposed to discern that you saying, ooh, I can't wait to take my kids to that park area? And I'm supposed to go, ooh, I know what I'll do.
Right.
I'm going to take us on a picnic. Ask for what you want. And this is in romantic relationships, y'all. Real quick, because it's relevant to all relationships. Stop trying to make your spouse or your partner read your mind. They should know what I like. No. There's so many things that we're supposed to do in relationships, but none of those things, like, for example, if somebody's dating me and they buy me flowers, you don't know me. I am not, my name is Rose, and I am all the flower I need.
She said, "Wow."
I
was not expecting that. I don't know you, Akua. I sure don't know you. Shit. She said, "Wow."
Listen, that's a different podcast. That's a different.
That's Strong Black Women Support Group After Dark.
After Dark. I swear I was thinking it, but I was like, I'm not gonna say it. I'm not. Yes, After Dark, because I don't like flowers, but all of the commercials and all of the experts and all the things that bring it. I am not a jewelry person, so you buy me a diamond, I'm gonna be like, that's cute. Ooh, I love like looking at rings. Oh, I'll be loving how fantastic they get. I'm not into jewelry. So if I expect you to know what I want, you're gonna be all messed up. And I am too, because you're not gonna be meeting my needs. Stop trying to make the people in your life guess what you like. Until you directly say it, they're never gonna know.
Right.
And that
right. So just like you would do that in a romantic relationship, you should do that in your friend group, your circle, support circle, whatever sister circle, whatever you label it.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Agree. And I like how it came out in our conversation, you and I, when we were talking, that, sometimes people might be like, oh, okay, that's doing too much. Then you don't want meaningful relationships, because if we don't have conversations like these, then we cannot have those meaningful relationships. We cannot have real, and I think I think you said that we can't have true connections if we don't have these conversations.
Exactly, because I feel like, if we cannot have these real, raw, honest conversations, we all essentially are masking. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm wearing my mask. Akua was wearing her masks. So I don't know Akua. I know Akua's mask, and Akua knows my mask. But Dr. Akua doesn't know Regina Renaye, and Regina Renaye doesn't know Dr. Akua, because we over here walking on eggshells. Let me stop. No Tito shades.
It's all good. It's all good now. No person. Yeah,
right. So right, because I don't know if you've noticed this, Dr. Akua, but I've noticed a lot of posts on social media about, oh my God, it's so hard to find friends as an adult. Where are my 35 plus Black women who looking for friends? I'm trying to find friends, and it's like, why is it so hard to find friends? And it's like, it's so hard to find genuine friendships because everyone walking around wearing a fucking mask.
Right, and it's almost unfair to say that. It's so hard to find friends, but yes, you're in your mask. And so your mask attracts a mask.
Exactly.
Y'all know in the street, right? If I'm authentic and I'm genuine, somebody who is masking is not going to be comfortable with me. It's going to just be like, for some reason I can't. And that's okay. right? But if I'm masking, I can't expect a fulfilling, meaningful relationship because I'm not even bringing that to the party. I'm
Right,
not
and
bringing
it's
that. No, go.
exactly, and it's almost like, and I hate to keep bringing it to like, romantic relationships, but it's just like when a man leads with money, right? Oh, I got a Benz, or I can buy you Louis, I can flew you out, you can get flued out and all
You
kind of
flew it out.
stuff. And it right, and then get mad when he attract quote unquote gold diggers. Like, stop leading with your money. It's the same thing with your friendships, right?
Yeah.
If you're out there walking around like you're a brunch girly and you're really just an introverted homebody who just wants to, binge, Attack on Titan, then leave with that. And then you're gonna find a girly who likes to be at home and binge watch Attack on Titan.
Yeah. And honestly, I don't think it's a problem. I don't think it's a problem that you keep referencing romantic relationships because that applies here as well. Because as Black women, whatever the relationship, again, if it's family, if it's romantic, if it's friendship, whatever it is, much of this applies, right? There may be some nuance that applies only in certain relationships, but overall, high level, it applies. Because at the end of the day, whatever support I need, whether it's from my partner, my parent, my friend, whomever, I am the only one who knows it to the fullness. And which means I am the only one who can equip the people around me to support me in the way that works for me. Right. So yeah, I think it's appropriate that you keep bringing it up.
Yeah.
I think something else that I would mention, and I don't know if we really touched on it as much as we did in the conversation you and I were having, but even with the love languages, there is a way, like for me, there's a way that I like to receive love, and there's a way that I like to give love. And those things they're not always the same, right? And sometimes they're different, meaning sometimes I want to receive it in one way, like words of affirmation, and sometimes I want gifts, right? Sometimes I want physical touch. So it varies. Nobody's going to know, nor should they have to be under the stress and pressure of guessing, is this a gift day? Does she want me to go over there and hug her? Does she want to cuddle? Right? That creates so much anxiety, and it adds to that part that you were saying. I love how you said that. Like, we're masking. My mask persona wants you to guess what I need, but Akua is gonna be like, "Can we cuddle?" Boom. That's what I need.
Yeah, that's it. Got it. Got you, girl.
And if you're somebody who likes to be surprised with gifts, you could say something like, "I really like when you buy me gifts, whatever kind of gifts you like," being specific in that way. Let's pretend I like jewelry. "I really like when you buy me necklaces and when it's a surprise." So now that person knows they ain't got to bring you one today, but they could put it in their mind, every month I'm a plan to surprise you with some jewelry because you've already told me what it is that you need. So now I don't have to guess, and then I can surprise you every once in a while whenever the spirit moves. You know what I'm saying? So being aware of how I want to support those around me, because that was one of the things that, I expressed in our conversation, like, this is how I am. And this is where we were able to find kind of that happy medium that works for both of us, which is where this conversation can lead you. This is how I like to show my friends that, like, I care about them. I think about them. They're important to me. They matter. And if someone says, well, that ain't meaningful for me, then how can we, if I'm really your friend, if I'm really wanting to be in whatever relationship this is, how can we find a space where I get to show love the way I show love, but in a way that can be received well by you, as well as being aware of the way I want to get it. You dig what I'm saying? I feel like I walked in circles on that one.
No. I get what you're saying. Do you think it would be helpful if I kind of summarize the situation a little bit, or
dig it, do it, go for it?
Yeah. So Akua and I were on the phone, and I was in my work mode or whatever, and
Oh, you
my
meant our conversation.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, do your thing. We already talked about that.
I'm gonna try to do it in 20 seconds.
Yeah, if you think it adds, yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So that people can see it, contextually. And my tone was down. She was like, "Oh, is everything okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." She was like, "No, but are you really fine?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I really am fine." And then, long story short, I just explained to her that I was just in work mode and blah blah blah, whatever. And then we kind of like got off on a tangent and started talking about how Black women, how we can support each other and this and that. And then one of the things I brought up was, when people push, when people ask me if I'm fine and they keep pushing, that like really bothers me, right? Because it's like I was fine, but now you keep badgering me. Now I'm not fine. But I know it comes from a place of love and genuine care, because a lot of the times, a lot of us Black women are wearing that strong Black woman mask, and a lot of us do be saying we fine when we really not fine.
And if we're gonna give context, a few days before that, we had a conversation. A different conversation was like, yeah, some stuff is going on, whatever. So on this second conversation, I was like, okay, we've co-worked, and you were working, and your tone and your vibe was different, and now I'm hearing this. Plus, we had that other conversation. You sure you fine? But I know, and I even told her, I was like, I know that could be annoying, so tell me if that's annoying. But it just feel like something else. Like I feel like maybe you're not really fine, and you just trying to like move past that part.
Mm-hmm. And thank you for that. And so it's like, it's kind of hard, because it's like, well, I know as a Black woman, we mask and we wear the strong Black woman mask, and we be saying we fine when we really not. So if she says she's fine and I just leave it alone, am I really being a friend? You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it's like that's like the catch-22, the rock and the hard place, right? And so I had to explain to Dr. Akua, I was like, listen, if you would have asked me that question 2 years ago, and you heard my tone, and I was like, I'm fine, and you said, are you really fine? And I would have been like, yeah, I really am. I probably would have been lying to you. I probably would have not been fine, but just saying I'm fine so we can keep it moving, because we got work to do, right? But after a whole heap of healing and working, and I'm still processing it, like I'm still there, like I'm still working through it. But I had to explain to her, I was like, listen, after a whole lot of work, like when I say I'm fine, I'm really fine. I'm fine. And if I'm not, I'm going to say, I'm not fine, but we have work to do. Could we table that? Could we go back to it? Like I have learned so much about myself that I'm able to have these conversations with my circle.
And to the point, to kind of build the rest of that picture, after hearing that, I then have to be like, okay. And I was like, okay, so from now on, because to the point you just made, I don't want to, knowing that some people mask, knowing, that I've had a history of masking, I don't want to feel like I call and you say I'm fine, and then I just jump to, okay, so what are we gonna do about the blah 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 and what da 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 da, and then you over here like, well, damn, I mean, I'm really not fine, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, right? So I was like, okay, I can hear that, and I dig that, and so going forward, if I ask you if you're fine and you say you're okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and move forward, but I gotta ask, not because I gotta ask, but it's a lot of stuff going on in this world, right? And I don't want to overlook my melanated sisters, but I don't have a need so deep to be like, but I gotta know how you're doing. I'm gonna check in with you, how you doing. If you tell me I'm good, I'm gonna be like, cool. Even if you don't sound like you're good, even if my shando, I can tell you the Lord told me that something's wrong, even if all of that is true. Because that's how we do, right? We trust these other insights. And I'm not saying that anybody is wrong, but the person still has a say. So in real life, if my friend is literally going through something and they say they're okay, we've had this conversation, I know I'm okay to move forward to whatever the next thing is. And if they need me for something, even if God on high said, no, something's going on with her. If they need me for something, they will then say, like you just said, I'm not, but I want to talk about it right now. Let's move forward. Or, yeah, I'm fine. And then we move forward. So on both ends, like that whole support thing, I have to be willing to respect what you're asking, because the alternative is pushing in and insisting on being a support and being there, da 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 da. And then that speaks more about me than it does about the person that's supposedly being supported. Because now I'm kind of bullying my way into a support role, and who needs that? Right. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
I totally agree, and I just think it's all about, just like you said, being communicative, because you would have never known that if I didn't tell you.
Right.
But the first step is really knowing yourself, because I wouldn't have been able to communicate that to you if I didn't know myself.
Absolutely. Which takes us right back to the beginning where we was talking about that, right? Like, and that is a process. Because listen, both parties, to sound all legal, but both sides has a right to come back sometime later and change what they said. I wouldn't do this, but I do have a right to say, you know what, when you told me that you didn't like to be checked in on, that's not how I roll. And I don't think I can, I don't think I can feel like a friend if I'm not able to check in as much as I need to. I got a right to do that. Akua would never do that, but an individual has a right to do that. And that would be a message then to the other person. Because if you're insisting that I receive it the way you want to give it, means that you're not really interested in having a relationship with me.
Exactly. You're not interested in having the give and take, reciprocity, all that, that jazz. And I know the topic is support languages for Black women, but here's the thing, like, this is literally just a conversation that needs to be sparked and started and like fully fleshed out and developed collectively and for yourself individually. So we're not going to give you, here's the 5 ways to support Black women, because like we said in the beginning, Black women aren't a monolith. You're an individual. You know what I mean? Like we have very similar, backgrounds, experiences, and whatever. But we are still individuals, right?
Yeah.
And so getting a "Hey sis, good morning" text from someone every day at 7:30 a.m. may be annoying to me, but it may be welcoming to you, right? And so that's why we have to really define what our own like support language is, how we want to be supported, and like Akua said, how we want to give the support. And if the way you want to give it is not the way the person wants to receive it, and you get mad, evaluate that. Evaluate that.
Yeah.
That's all we're saying right now. Like, and I feel like maybe we might need to do like a part 2 to this, because like I said, this is not a wham bam, here's material possession, whatever. I don't even know what the 5 love languages are from that book. To be honest with you, I don't even know.
And listen, now it's 7,200 love. Somebody else then added something else to it.
Really?
And,
yeah, I don't even know.
To the point that you made, I do want to say one thing. The giver of support, if you want to show up for a friend in a way that is not does not align with who you are, right? So let's just pretend you're not someone who likes everyday text, but let's pretend like I am, right? And because you don't like receiving text, 9 times out of 10, you ain't gonna be somebody who wants to just sit up there and give them. But if you say, you know what, it's important to my friend, I want to do it, then that could also be a part of the conversation. Like, listen, I hear you saying that you would like that. That's not my vibe. I'm going to do my best to check in on you at least once a week. And then you could set a reminder in your calendar on random days of the week at random times on those random days, just to send that quick text, to say something meaningful to that friend. But to the point that you're making right now about our support languages, there's a couple of things to be aware of. If the relationship is important, then these are some things to be mindful of. And I'm going to mean even the relationship with yourself. If your relationship with yourself is important enough to you, then you have the opportunity to become the student and the teacher of self to self, right? To learn yourself, and then to begin to communicate to others the things that you need in the ways that you need to be supported, because the way that's reflective of your relationship with self, because then you're going to be surrounded by people who are equipped by you to give you what it is that you need. Why? Because I love me and I love giving to me what me needs. But if I don't tell my friends what I need, then that means I'm cutting myself off from the things that I need, right? In the same way, if the relationship is important to me, when my friend comes to me and says, this is what I prefer, whatever feelings I had, like Regina said, we got to evaluate that. If I'm feeling some kind of way because I want to support in a way and my friend don't like it, if that relationship is important to me, then I get to evaluate how can I show up for them in a way that's meaningful to them from what they told me they need.
Right. Listen, I think we put a bow on that one. But I think we put a bow on that. I really do. Because like I said, it's about sparking this conversation and having this dialogue, not only with our friend group, our support systems, but with ourselves.
Yeah.
Because like I will say time and time again, like 2023 Regina would have been lying and said, "Oh, I'm fine," and just kept them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Same. You rewind the clock on me somewhere along the way. Oh, I'm fine. No, I'm fine, girl. No, I'm just a little sleepy, but yeah, I'm good. That was the way I did it. I would put something else in there because I know that I'm emitting a vibe. So then I blame it on something. Oh yeah, I'm just a little tired, but yeah, no, I'm good.
Right.
And they'd be like, oh, okay. Then they leave me alone.
Child, listen, I would be like, oh, my blood sugar low. Good and damn well I ain't nobody's diabetic. Oh, this is my blood sugar. My blood sugar. Hey, nobody's diabetic, but my blood sugar was always low.
Your blood sugar looking at you like, nigga.
Lying.
Lying on me for?
Right. Like, how I get put in this? Blood sugar was like, how I get part of this conversation? Just lying, child.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I hope that this conversation that Dr. Akua and I really sparked something in you, really got you thinking about how you truly want to be supported, how you show up for other people. And are you ready to have the conversation with the person if they're telling you you're really not supporting me in the way I want to be supported? You know? So I don't know. We might have a part two. We may not. But because I just feel like it's at the tip of the iceberg. I just such a rich. It's so many tangents we can go on with this.
Yeah, I would love.
We could talk about the toxic positivity, right? Oh, girl, you got this. Dismissal. I mean, there's so much we can listen. There's so much we can get into with this. How the support languages for Black women. There's so much we can get into. Yeah. But we ain't got time.
I love how you like, and no.
So that was this episode of the Strong Black Woman Support Group. Thank you so much for tuning in to our show. I'm Regina Renaye, the host. This is Dr. Akua, our doctor in residence. And we'll see you next week.
You've been holding it down for so long, carrying the weight, staying so strong, but it's time to let go of the pain. No more. But here's a place where you can just be. Relax, relax.